Hello, welcome to another Gundam Operation 2 video. That is the Gabthley, and welcome to another Buffed or Scuffed. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Buffed or Scuffed, basically, we take a look at the unit adjustments that happen at the end of every month that the devs will post on the GBO2 blog website, which you guys can check out. And, yeah, we pick a few, usually it's one or two, and we go over, usually suits that interest me. Sometimes it'll be a suit that's like, in demand, like, oh shit, everybody really wants to talk about this suit, so I guess I'll talk about this, But sometimes, like with the Gabthley here, there are some interesting things they buffed about it, and I used to play the Gabthley quite a bit back then, so I want to take a look at this first over other suits, right? So the Gabthley is basically a general that can dabble a little bit into everything, but it was mostly well known for just you could comboing into his transformation, where you could shoot your fading rifle or your shoulder cannons, overheat them, and then transform and go back into it, or go back into shooting your fading rifle and your shoulder cannons. Right. It also had two melee weapons: the fading beam spear, which could do a lot of damage and has a lot of reach. However, you could only swing it once, while the beam saber is the typical beam saber, and you could swing that twice. And, of course, we mentioned the shoulder cannons. The shoulder cannons are your only form of instant stun that's not charging it, like with the fading rifle. And, of course, the fading rifle itself can hit a pretty far distance. So, you had sniping, you had melee, you had a transformation, you had mid-range stuff going on. Again, it dabbled into everything, but it wasn't the... it's kind of like a master... No, it's like a jack-of-all-trades, but a master of none, right? Although it could do fairly well in a match for itself, but it's obvious that nowadays that it's been power crept pretty hard. Comparing this to some recent 600 generals, we have the Gabthley, which that suit is just a fucking monster. Yeah, that thing is gross. But yeah, so let's go ahead and look at the win rate for this suit before we get into what got buffed about it. And actually, before we even start that, I do have two matches here for you. This first match is going to be me playing at 600. Both of these matches are 600. I do have a 650 somewhere, but I'm going to save that for another time. But this first 600 match is going to be my most recent match with this suit on Colony Drop area, and the second match is going to be my first time playing the Gabthley. And you can tell. Oh, I say first time. I mean first time in a while playing it, and you can tell I'm a little bit awkward trying to aim with it because fading rifle is pretty precise at times. And sometimes I think I'm going to hit, and I don't. But, yeah. And, of course, another question people were asking me is like, well, if it's called Buffed or Scuffed, and a suit's just been buffed, well, wouldn't it just be buffed? What's the scuffed part about it? And, well, sometimes a suit will get a buff that doesn't help it out all the way, and or maybe it just doesn't help it. And then you have a good example I always use for my videos is the Gem Sniper 2 White Dingo, where that suit got buffed to move while charging its beam rifle. And then its win rate started, it got even worse. Which is, I believe the devs said yeah, that's really weird that happened. We're going to revert that buff. Which is hilarious to think about. I guess you can blame the player base on that, but that's still a pretty scuffed moment there. So yeah, now we're going to get into the win rate finally for the Gabthley here. And yeah, looking at the win rate, there's not a huge discrepancy, honestly, between usually the higher a suit goes, there is a big wide margin of their win rate. The Gabthley has been around the same, for 600 the typical general win rate average was 49.7. The Gabthley had 46.8, so not too far. Well, I mean it's 49, but oh, my bad, 46. Okay, that is pretty far. by a decent amount of points. But the thing is, that stays around that general area, depending on how high we go up here. So for 650, the general win rate was 50.1, but the Gabthley still stayed at 46.4. And for the general average at 700, the win rate was 49.0. This suit had a 45.6, so it's still around the 46 area. And we take a look at the damage dealt for these costs. The average win rate, average damage dealt for generals was 66,000, but this suit was getting 67,000. And for 650, 68,000. But the suit got a 71,000. And for 700, it was 83,000. But the suit wasn't too far off behind with the 78,000. So obviously, it could do the damage. It's getting higher damage dealt than the typical average. It's just that I need a little bit more help in terms of just trying to provide more for its team, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at what exactly they buffed about this suit. Now, first of all, they actually increased the melee resistance of this suit. It was 16, now it's 25, which is a pretty big jump, actually. What's funny is that for both these matches, I have more of a tanky build going on for my Gabthley. I believe, yeah, for beam and melee resistance is almost in the 40s, but I think it's almost in the 40s for melee resistance because of this buff, which is nice. So I will take that. You know, more melee resistance, and of course, you do have 2 melee weapons, so you can kind of just continue going in for more melee action, right? Which, you know, is pretty helpful, especially with some of the suits at these costs now with their melee. Excuse me. Man, as soon as we get into buffs, my throat wants to start clogging up, right? The high-speed movement was also buffed on the Gabthley. It went from 200 to 210, which is kind of typical for around that kind of cost of 550 to 600. I say 550, but you know, most of there's a few suits at that cost have 210 as well, or that have been buffed to 210. It seems like they want that to kind of be the average for generals at high costs is around 210, right? Before we get into the craziness of 650 and 700, right? So I'm fine with that. More boosting, right? More boosting speed. The turning speed was also buffed as well. The turning speed went from 63 to 66, so it only increased by 3. But hey, I don't mind that at all. You know, for a suit that's primary weapon isn't a instant stun, and it could actually, you know, rapid fire, it's pretty good to course correct your shots just in case, right? So faster turning speed, I'm fine with that. They also gave this thing the level 3. This is specifically for the level 3 unit, which would be 700. They changed the flight control program level 2 to flight control program level 3, so you can do a little bit more while you're flying in the air, and I believe it takes less thruster consumption when you boost in the air, which is pretty nice. And something I did not expect for them to give this suit, they actually gave this suit maneuver armor, level 1, across the board. Pretty surprising. I guess maybe not surprising for what it seems like they're trying to do with this suit. They did increase its melee resistance. It seems like they want this to be a little bit more melee active. You know, of course, it does have 2 melee attacks and 2 melee weapons as well. I should say 2 melee swings and 2 melee weapons. So yeah, they gave it maneuver armor. And if you guys don't know, maneuver armor lets you resist instant stuns while you're boosting. And as we know, at 600 and then above, even at 550, you know, a lot of these high-cost suits, they have multiple stun options. And the Gabthley, it technically has a way to get 2 stuns in a row, but the only one you have readily available to you is the shoulder cannons. So yeah, it is kind of limited in that regard of trying to stun people. So it is good this thing does have maneuver armor. And hey, mission completed. Let's see how we did for this first match here. And hey, we got top assist, top damage, and top diversions. I'm fine with that. Gonna praise the raid and the support. They did their job pretty well. And hey, third place, 1 and 3. Not really too well in the kills department, but I think I'm fine. You know, just getting the top assist and top damage. You know, kind of helping my team out there in that regard. And here we are with my first time playing the recently buffed Gabthley. So yeah, playing like a ladybug, giant ladybug. But yeah, maneuver armor, pretty nice skill for this suit to have. And of course, you know, it helps it do its melee more. So, I'm fine with that. Now we're on for some of the weapons they buffed for this suit. The melee weapon for the Gabthley Beam Saber, the level 3 only. The level 3 damage went from 2,420. There we go, to make that a little bit make more sense. They actually increased that to 2,600, which is a pretty big jump. But of course, this is 700 we're talking about, so kind of need some damage on your side there. And the sub-weapon for the Vulcans was actually changed. Now, the fire range, you know, the range for it was enhanced from 180 to 200, so a little bit more range, which is I'm fine with that. They also increased the bullet velocity, you know, it fires faster, and they also increased the stagger accumulation. Now, if you're using the Vulcans by themselves, not very great. Now, by itself, I believe you have 40 Vulcan shots, but if you're using the Vulcans by themselves to get a stun, it will take almost half of your bullets to get the stun, so it's not super reliable. However, combine this with your Fading Rifle, and there is potential to get a pretty quick stun. I believe with the Fading Rifle, if you shoot your Fading Rifle once, and then use your Vulcans, well, hey, I believe it will stun, I think, in 9 or 8 hits of your Vulcans, which, that's not a lot out of 40. So if you somehow you can manage your heat rate of your Fading Rifle against some enemies, well, hey, you can keep just stunning them, practically. However, it's a little bit easier said than done, because there are quite a few suits now that, or some suits that even you're supposed to counter against, that have damage control. I noticed, that first match, I think I tried to use my Vulcans against a, oh no, what was it called? The Gira Zulu EH. That's what it's called. I believe I'm correct here. And that suit, I believe, has damage control. And they also had an S Gundam, which that has damage control. So kind of boned there trying to stop them, right? Especially, trying to use other weapons, because those suits have maneuver armor. I have the shoulder cannons for instant stun. That's it. If I try to use my Fading Rifle, it's going to take longer to stun them. So not the best against damage control units. But hey, I mean, against regular units like other generals, I wish I got to use that combo more during these two matches, but unfortunately I did not. So maybe at some point I had to do that a little bit more and see how well that works for me, right? Especially going in with maneuver armor and all that good stuff. You can boost and use Vulcans at the same time, right? So can't wait to see if I can try and incorporate that into combos. But yeah, that's a pretty nice buff for the Vulcans. It makes the Vulcans a little bit more viable as a way to get a stun and all that good stuff. They fire more for damage, right? Or fire faster for more damage. So yeah, I'll take that. And now we go into the transformation for this suit. Well, they already said that the melee resistance is also enhanced, so it's still 25 here. The unit skill Transform Reinforcement Level 1 has been given to this suit, and basically it's a form of damage control. You have damage control, I think at least level 1, maybe a little bit more. So yeah, you can resist stun accumulation with this suit at when you're transformed, it'll take more stun accumulation to stun you, which is pretty nice, because they do mention at some point, I believe the devs do, that they want you to transform more with this suit. They want you to combine transformation with your daily combos. You'll notice throughout these two matches, whenever a teammate or maybe I get a stun on the enemy, I will transform and continue firing at them with my my Fading Rifle and my shoulder cannons. So yeah, that's pretty nice. If you're going to be constantly transforming, they do have a way for you to okay, yeah, you're transforming, and we're going to help you while you're transforming, which is nice. Especially since this thing has shock dampeners, so it can get instant stun, and it'll take more stun accumulation to work on it. Next thing here is that the Fading Rifle, while you're transformed, will do more damage, although this is specifically the level 3. The level 3 went from 2,200 to 2,400, so yeah, another 200 points of damage there. And this is for all the suits now, but increased power of focus shot. So now whenever you do focus the Fading Rifle, which is significantly shorter in transformation than when out of transformation, that will do more damage. So yeah, I'm fine with that. A little bit more damage. Of course, you can combo that for more big boy damage with your shoulder buffers, and then you can go back into your Fading Rifle for more follow-up damage. So yeah, pretty nice. Get a stun lock with that pretty easily. And finally, another thing for the sub-weapon here, the Mega Particle Cannons with your shoulder cannons on the level 3. Again, they really want to focus this thing on the level 3. Went from 1,100 to 1,300, so another increase to 200 points of damage. And so yeah, they really want the suit to be played at 700 apparently, which okay, fine by me, I guess. But yeah, that's it for the Gabthley. Now, is it buffed or scuffed? I'm going to go ahead and say it's buffed, but honestly, having played the suit for a good amount of matches after the buff, I still feel like that I'm having to rely on the same tactics that I was doing with the Gabthley before it was buffed. Now, obviously, you can get away with a little bit more because you have maneuver armor and you have a little bit more melee resistance, so you can do more melee build stuff, right? However, this suit just feels it's not in the limelight anymore, where we have all these insane 600, 650, and 700 suits with multiple stuns, easy stun accumulations, and just insane melee output. And the Gabthley is just not going to be the it's not going to be the top dog. But it seems like here that maybe they're not trying to go for top dog. They just want to increase its viability a little bit more, which is respectful, right? So I'm going to say the Gabthley is buffed, but it's not going to be super insane, right? Although maybe depending on the kind of player that you are, maybe trying to cycle through those Theodine and Vulcan shots to continue getting somebody stun locked, combining your shoulder cannons, combining your transformation, all that good stuff. Like, the damage is not bad on the Gabthley overall. It's just the Gabthley trying to survive throughout the match against the insane stuff of the cost that it's at, right? Like I mentioned, the Hazenthly, that suit is just bonkers. Not overpowered, I would say, but it's pretty damn good, right? That's probably one of my go-to 700 generals right now, especially with some of the defenses it has with that beam cannon. You can survive a lot with that. And yeah, I think that'll be it for this Buffed or Scuffed. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe if you want. I'd really appreciate it. And type up in the comment section how you feel about the Gabthley. Do you like it? Do you hate it? And I always did like the Gabthley, the way it played. It really felt pretty nice for me. I do like playing a little bit more of a supporting general role, and this suit does feel that way, where I can just continue shooting my my Fading rifle in and out of transformation. I almost feel like I think I made this point before. I feel like I'm playing the assist Gabthley in whenever you're playing the Masala in Maxi Boost, if you guys are familiar with that Gundam game, where the Masala can call the Gabthley can come in and shoot their weapons. I feel like that half the time when I'm playing this suit. Hey, real fast, mission completed on the second mission. I completely forgot we had a second match here. And hey, we're not on the board, but I do believe we get at least a high placement, so I'm fine with that. And hey, second place. I did not expect second place. 3 and 2, over 100k damage, and pretty good assist score. So yeah, again, the Gabthley, for me, it has the damage potential. It's just that the suit itself is just limited in what it can do. All the other suits are just super crazy right now. And hey, if you guys want to type in what other suit I should check out for this month's unit adjustment, I'm not looking at the previous stuff anymore. This month's unit adjustment, then go ahead and let me know, because I'm still trying to find a second candidate, and I'm thinking either between the Power Gem or the O, maybe another suit if it really tickles my fancy, or y'all's fancies, right? Y'all's fancies. And I actually did have a video on the narrative Gundam, but I will be giving that to Red Wolf Vion, and then he can post that whenever he wants to. And you guys can check that out and see how I did with the buffed narrative Gundam, which I think is pretty good now. So yeah, the Gabthley, it is buffed, but it's time in the it's just exiting left stage now at this point. All these other suits coming in, all the young bloods, right? But yeah, that'll be it, and I will see you guys later. Bye.